Shooting from the Lip 366. It's the Onsite Recording at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands on this Tuesday night, December 18th, 2018. First up, a couple buddies of mine, the Borowicks. You know, a father, son, brothers. What is this, man?
I guess that's multiple ways to put it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Rick Borowick.
Hello,
Borowick.
Kevin.
What's up?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
This is, as we're recording this on a Tuesday night, we're 2 nights away from the Shooting from the Lip holiday experience at the Levee.
That's right.
Extravaganza.
Yeah. And
At the Kevy for the night.
the Kevy.
Yeah.
We've hijacked the name. I don't know if there's a possibility to get up there and put a K over the L, but that would be badass. But Hunter, you're part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Rick and I actually kind of concocted this idea together about getting a certain person that we know and love and respect and appreciate his music, K2, his music talents and vocal talents, Mr. Kevin Manning.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
So I'm like, we need to get Kevin out.
Kevin would be here right now, but he goes to bed in 14
Yeah,
minutes.
he's on a clock, yeah. So we thought, I got to get Kevin out there. Who can we get to play with Kevin?
Well, I guess it's me. I'm really excited for the thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. He and I have been kind of getting together over the past, since I got home from school in Chicago, and kind of going over the songs that we're going to do. And we have a lot of like fun surprises in store, stuff I've never played out that I've always loved to listen to, and I'm just really excited for the whole night.
Yeah, and you know, Rick, it made sense pairing the Hunter and K2 up after we saw them perform at Kef Fest,
Exactly.
and it was like,
Well, the chemistry's there.
Yeah,
There's
definitely
no
there.
doubt about it. It's very similar music taste.
Man, you're talking about me like I'm not sitting right here.
I don't know what you're talking about. You know. Glad you could join us, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
Good. So that's coming up this Thursday, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. But let's talk about you guys. Start with you, Rick. Dad, you've been in the
It's a good starting place.
you've been a fan of the music scene. You've
I'm a
seen
music producer. I produce kids who can play music.
Yeah, give us a little bit. What's your story? Give a little bit about you.
Small business guy. Two great kids. Had 3 great kids. 2 great kids in the house. Hunter just got into music at a very young age. Started playing piano when he was 3 years old.
Good God.
Just started feeding the fire a
By
little bit.
4, was that something the parents pushed him into doing, or
You know what? We put him in piano lessons at the preschool he was in, and he just took to the piano.
Okay.
And he had an instructor that she's
She's a dope Russian lady. That's the only way to put it. That's
very serious about piano. Hunter
very serious about piano.
Hunter took to it quite well.
no collusion going on there, huh?
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
That's
Got to the
Not
point
back then.
where at about 5 years old, he was kind of being told that he was going to be learning classical music next.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like,
Well, can I I'll take over for this. I was like, fuck that. Like my 5-year-old self thought the word fuck but didn't know it.
yeah.
And
Just seemed like the appropriate word to.
well, yeah. And then, the next thing from there, I was pretty much like, I want to play the music I want to play, or I'm gonna dip. And I didn't dip, and I got a Beatles songbook for the piano, and I started to learn.
Another one of those Beatle influences.
Well, yeah, I mean, those were the songs that like kind of kept me going on there. And then a year later, I picked up a guitar, and I kind of had an all right sense of melody. So I was able to just kind of like riff some stuff I had heard before almost immediately, which was really cool, and I'm very thankful for that. To be able to do that. Yeah, it kind of all started at the piano and just gradually moved all over the place to bass, drums. I stopped playing piano for a long time, and then last year, or I guess the year before that, I started playing a lot more again. And now I spend most of my time sitting at a synthesizer at my desk, and which is cool because it gives me like that background that I had in piano, like kind of learning the music that I love over the years, and what sounds I like, what I like to write with, kind of helped me build my influence. Now I can use that like a synthesizer or piano to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to rely on a guitar.
Right.
Which is that's the music thing.
But then the guitar enters his life.
Yeah.
Everything changed,
Everything changed.
including the space that we had that is now occupied by guitar.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, it's been a wonderful ride. Yeah, you know, I try to support my kids in whatever they were wanting to get into. Hunter, my musician, my daughter is my athlete, and you know, for me, just to work hard, try to give them the opportunities that maybe I didn't have growing up. Same thing my father did for me.
Right.
You know, so that's kind of where we're at. You know, I try to work hard every day. I try to set a good example. I don't know if I do or not, but
Based
I try.
on his language, yeah.
Yeah, you know. Well, I do remember his first time on your show a few years ago, and
Learned it from the best, Dad.
yeah, thank you, brother. But no, it's been a fun ride, you know, raising these kids and watching them be successful at what they do.
You know, one thing, you are close with him. You definitely have a good relationship, but musically, you manage, right? I mean,
Yeah,
is that the right
I
word?
would try, you know, I don't know if my official title would be manager, but I've tried to look out for Hunter.
You know, for legal reasons, you know, there's probably a percentage in that, right?
Very well, maybe.
We're gonna wait till the camera goes off to talk
I'm-
about that.
I've been tallying for years, you know. So one day, if you know, he does make it there, then
Shit, he's saying one
See
day
this
he's just
number?
gonna come at me. He's gonna be like, give me this amount of money.
well, I've got to watch the statute of limitations on that. So.
You know.
But no, you know, being a father of Hunter and Lane, you know, they've made life pretty easy for me.
That's
you
good.
know, really good kids.
I don't know. I think my mind is just like still in school mode, but past consideration is no consideration. You can't do shit about that.
So, take us on this guitar journey, because you know, I not say the age. Oh no, I better not say the age. You start playing guitar. You said it what?
I started kind of like noodling around at 6.
Really?
Yeah.
But when did you like
I'd say
decide?
by the time I was 8.
You really?
He played his first bar at 8.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're shitting me.
No.
So you remember the band XS?
Yeah.
So it was at our place pub. I think it was like Thanksgiving or some shit. I got up and I played Love Gun by Kiss, which is
Great song for an 8-year-old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Lyrics alone.
And if I do remember, I think O'Reilly was on drums for that.
Yeah,
show.
I think he
Good
was.
God.
Yes. But
Which is
Paul
just
Smith,
wonderful.
a good friend of ours,
Yeah.
had kind of noticed him playing and said, you know what, I'd like to get you up and play with the band. So
I saw Paul the other day, man. It was awesome to catch up with him.
So 8 years old, you're at our place in front of a rock and roll crowd, and you get up and play. Nervous?
Looking back, yes, but I also had no idea what I was doing.
Okay.
I still don't know how to play that song right.
You're excused. I mean, it is Love Gun.
didn't you do Sweet Child also that night?
No, I think that was the next time, and there were
He
multiple.
played with them
times.
several times.
Yeah.
And then he started sitting in with Big Rock Show.
Yeah.
You know, Kevin and Ronnie and Dave. I mean, they just kind of took him in, and there would be any of the all ages shows.
Yeah, that was back when McCreary was in the band.
Yeah. You know, Kevin had Kamek had this thing where when they invited Hunter to come up and play, Hunter would go up to Kevin and say, "You know the drill," and Kevin would pull off his guitar and put it on Hunter and
Shorten the
strap.
for me.
But, you know,
I honestly I was a little asshole. But
You were already in diva mode at that
man.
point.
which is really, really bad. That's
you know, Ronnie kept him straight.
yeah.
Ronnie
Ronnie
kept him
still
straight.
busts my balls like every time I see him. But I love Ronnie.
You know, it's funny because, you know, back then Hunter was, you know, playing with Ronnie's bands and whatnot, and now Ronnie is the unofficial fifth or sixth
fifth-
member now,
fifth.
possibly
Yeah.
of Doppelgänger. So
Well, we're going to talk about the members in a moment, but you're right. You had mentioned that he does do some spot
Oh,
shows
yeah.
with him. So, and it's so cool that I've got to know you guys, in the last few years, and so I'm doing my homework on what he's done locally. You've been very fortunate to have some badass guitarists.
Oh,
absolute
mentor
best.
you.
that's an
I mean,
understatement.
I
man.
say that, trying to, well, I mean, it is an understatement. I
we
mean,
could do some
those-
name dropping.
well, go, let's do it. I mean,
Paul Smith,
Screamin' John.
Screamin'
Yeah.
John, Rob Pickett.
Dale Cashin, man, he was
Yeah.
my first guitar teacher. Taught me all of the blues stuff that I needed to know, and then I think Paul was next after that, man. Kevin McCreary, one of the
Absolutely.
biggest ones, for sure, man.
Suni.
Suni, I mean, Chip's not really a guitar player by trade, but I mean,
Chip has been
dude
his
still gets
musical
it. Dude still
guru.
gets it done, man. He was like my go-to source for all things music, and he still is a lot of the time.
hair tips as well.
Yeah, man. I don't know
Hairstyle.
how. I don't know how he
Obviously
does
not
it.
listening
His
to
hair.
to Chip.
Look how messy my hair is. His shit is luscious. It is soft.
It is that. Yeah. Shout out to Mr.
He's a pretty girl.
He is. He's a beautiful man. Beautiful man. Yeah, so Chip and I mean, you've been very fortunate, or timing has been right, but the guitar gods are have kind of put you in a position for the last several years to be influenced by some of the
And
greats.
even Carl, who will be.
Oh yeah,
tonight,
Carl's
you know.
gonna coming on later, right?
Yeah. So
But this music community kind of opened their arms to him, and they took him in, and they were really at a young age were teaching him the do's and don'ts. Things that they had experienced that maybe they made mistakes along the way,
Right.
and they would say,
Well,
don't make the same mistakes we made.
Steve O'Reilly actually taught me when I was like 8 or 9 years old. He taught me these 3 things.
with hair, Steve O'Reilly, or without hair?
And
No hair.
he had no hair.
Yeah.
Man, what was the number one rule? It was like
Never take a gig
never
you can't
never
handle.
take a gig you can't handle. Don't be humble. No one wants to work with an asshole. And
Keep learning.
it sounds really really bad because it sounds like I forgot them, but I didn't because the third one's keep learning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep learning. Yeah.
But what was great is that he was so intimidated by Riley back then.
He scared the shit out of me, man.
How so?
I don't know. I guess I was always scared of sharks growing up. And
He'd walk around with his coffee mug with the scowl on his face at the School
yeah,
of Rock,
that
and
stuff, yeah.
No, he's awesome, and God, like,
He is an avid coffee guy too.
that, and he's a hell of a drummer.
Oh yeah.
Like, wow,
We
he has the
I
best
think
chops.
it's safe to say, as a music fan, this town, I have enough. How's the best way to put it? There's enough talent in this town that keeps me interested in
Sure.
the local scene.
Sure.
And so
I mean, there are just tons of great musicians in this town, and unfortunately, a lot of them don't get the recognition they deserve. And
Yeah, absolutely.
it's been a fun ride over the years. I mean, when we talk about, he's 19 years old, and he's been gigging in this town since he was 9 years old.
Yeah.
His band started playing shows at 9 and 10. Unleashed, which technically is still together, but
Nah, I mean, like, yeah, I guess kinda in spirit.
yeah, if Elise comes back in town and they want to get together, I mean, they never officially broke up, but they, everybody kind of went on to do their thing. Hunter and Luke went on to Doppelgänger, and to this day, Hunter and Luke been playing together 10 years, longer than they've been living. I mean, half of their lives.
Yeah,
have been-
half.
I mean, over half their lives.
Right.
they've been
I was gonna
playing.
say, like,
Yeah,
are you
I mean,
serious, man?
no, but just to watch them grow together has just been amazing.
Right.
They are so in sync with each other. Doesn't matter what project, what type of music, they're there.
So you are this town's version of In Sync. Does that make you Justin, or which one are you? I mean,
Oh man,
bye, bye, bye.
bye bye. I can say without shame, I love NSYNC. They're
Great performers. Great,
Oh.
actually, very good. Justin.
Oh yeah, God, he's something else. Awesome.
Well, to kind of before we talk Doppelgänger, one more credit to you. The fact that these talented musicians gave you the stage, a platform. That's respect. I mean, that says a lot about you too. I mean, because these guys, let's be honest, they're badass players.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to want to bring somebody up that's going to embarrass them.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Well,
do something to the audience that you're.
Like you said, they're badass players, but they're even better people.
Right.
Like
Absolutely.
damn near 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so unbelievably thankful for like everything that they've offered me, whether it's giving me that platform over the years, or like through lessons, like teaching me a song or making me hear a song for the first time that maybe went on and inspired me to do something 5 years later. I don't know, but man, they've given me everything, like between like there's everybody in the music scene here, and like my family and my friends. Yeah.
You know, the trips to New York with Chipper and going to NAMM every year with Kevin, Kevin and Chip, Ronnie, and
You got to do that with those guys?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's respect. That you're going along with them, those guys that.
It's funny because the New York story, it comes back to like this mutual love of one band, and the band is King's X. We all love King's X, and I've every time I've seen them, it's never been here. I don't think I've ever seen them here, but I've gone to New York to see them. That was with Chip and BP, and that was a lot of fun.
Yep. Texas to see
Texas,
them.
yeah, like wow.
Chicago,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and of course in LA at NAMM.
Yeah.
And there's a possibility that he may be playing with Doug at NAMM this year. So we'll see how things go
I hope
with that
so,
show.
man. That would be a lot of fun.
Something in the works that may work out, but he could be, up on stage doing some King's X with Doug Pinnick.
Could be.
Yeah, nothing solid yet, but
No, but the fact that that's even being discussed.
Those guys in that band are, just like our local guys. They're great musicians, but they're even better people.
Right.
And those guys have such huge
Which
hearts.
like that, like about them specifically, that says something because that's got to be one of the world's tightest bands. Like seeing what they do live, like videos of them sound checking with playing some of their songs and just talking over it to each other. I don't know how they focus on a million things at once, man.
Hunter was lucky enough to open for Doug in his solo project.
Oh yeah, man, that was
along with Corey Glover.
that was
from
at
Living
Phoenix
Color.
Hill.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. How long was that?
That was about a month before Phoenix Hill closed.
Oh yeah.
So it was Derby week.
Yeah.
That year, and I talked to Smitty, Doug and Corey's manager, and they had a show that was canceled in Memphis. Smitty hit me up, asked if I could get him a show here in Louisville, and I said I could. And he's like, if we can, he goes, I'd like Hunter's band to open. So that's
that was which band was that then?
That was Doug Pinnick and the Texas Foundation. So you had a couple,
his band.
Oh yeah, his band. That was that was Unleashed, but
yeah.
it was Unleashed with Ross on bass.
Yeah.
Elise couldn't do the show that night, and that was right around the time that Doppelgänger was starting to. They were playing together, but they weren't playing together as Doppelgänger.
So we would do this thing live. We'd have an Unleashed show, typically like at Phoenix Hill, Wicks, whatever. And I've always been pretty close friends with Sam Feinstein, who's our other guitar player, and Ross too, obviously. Ross would come in and jam with us, like even before then. But once I kind of figured out like Sam and I as guitar players like have a really, really great chemistry, and so we would start doing like 7-song sets like in the middle of an Unleashed set. So Luke and I would just stay on stage. Elise would go, and then Sam and Ross would come up. Or there were some times where it was all 5 of us on stage, just kind of jamming out, doing our thing. It was a lot of fun.
And that's kind of what led into Doppelgänger.
Well, good segue. Let's give us the story with Doppelgänger. How long has you guys at Doppelgänger been in
the lines are so blurred as to actually how long we've been together. I'd probably say 2015.
Yeah, Doppelgänger kind of came out of
2016,
what started as Maloik. Hunter and Ross were in another band that was a little more metal oriented.
Yeah.
Nick Denham on drums and Alex Castante also on guitar.
Yeah.
They were great. Alex went off to school, and Nick was also doing his professional bass fishing
For real?
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He's the real deal.
Dude, he's a monster. He's
And
awesome.
I don't know if you know who he is, but he's he drums for Crazy Train.
Okay.
And then he's also, I think, in a band with Chris Aaliyah right now.
Yeah.
Crazy Train. Is that Pat Bears?
Yeah.
I've seen Nick like around playing. Because me and Luke came out of the Louisville School of Rock, Chip's place, and Nick did too. So we would always kind of, see each other, and I always saw like from afar, like even when we were 10 or 11, I'd be like, "Wow, dude, he's such a good drummer." And then we got to play with him, which was awesome.
So then, not long after that, Harper Guitars, who Hunter is a endorsed artist by, reached out to him when he was, I think, 12. He was the youngest artist to join their family.
Good God.
Along with Fuchs Audio amplification company, and they went down to Harperfest, which
Shout
was
out
that
shout out
down
to
in Paducah.
Jaden Carlson for unseating me as the youngest.
Yes.
Oh, someone has?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
She's like a jam.
Oh, it's a she even.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's like a jam
She's a jam
blues
fan,
guitar
yeah.
player.
Oh, wow.
From I think like Boulder or something,
Yeah.
out in Colorado, and dude, she's a monster. She's so good.
And then Sam came on.
Yeah, and then Sam too.
So they really reached out to the younger artist. They wanted Unleashed was playing, was going to play down in at Harperfest, and I think Ross was actually playing that show because Elise couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Sam was also invited to play. Well, Sam needed a backing band. Well,
Sam Feinstein and Friends.
yes, Sam Feinstein and Friends, which turned into Doppelgänger.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And
I would probably say that was the kind of official
Coming out
beginning.
party. Yeah.
almost, coming out party.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and the Harper folks have been just a great group to be associated with.
Yeah, and there's another one coming too. There's going to be another guitar, I think so.
Yeah, I would
So-
assume so.
Because more often than not, when Doppelgänger plays live, it's 3 Harpers across the stage,
Yeah.
which
okay.
is a beautiful sight if you've seen it.
Yeah. So, Doppelgänger, 4 members currently. You just mentioned a potential 5th.
Well, so we've been doing this thing.
Okay. What's this thing?
Luke,
Do a thing.
our drummer Luke is in. He's in another band from school. He goes to Center, and the keyboard player from that band, I think, is also his fraternity brother. Down
August
there.
Kingsley.
Yeah, his name's August Kingsley, and he plays keys. Like, that's pretty much it, man. Like, I can't even, words don't even describe like the type of shit I've heard like him do. I remember he came over to my place to practice with us one time before a gig because we wanted to do some songs, with more like keyboard and synth parts, like whether it's The Doors, just kind of music we all love to listen to, but you don't really hear out a lot. And the song Tom Sawyer by Rush. So we play that song with keys or without. But he has like a Tom Sawyer setting on there. So you heard the and I was immediately like, all right, so this is happening. This is awesome.
I had gone to excuse me.
was
I had
fun.
gone to check out Luke's other band one night. Hunter was working over the summer out of town, and I saw August playing with him. I'm like, you guys were talking about possibly adding some keys. I was like, this is your guy. So I'm texted with him, show him a little video, and then he's done some shows with them, and it's really a great sound. It's nice to see the full stage up there with all of them playing.
But is it official? Is he?
Nah, it's not. It's not official.
All right.
At
right
this
now,
at
it's
this
whoa. Excuse me.
He's playing as he can, or
Yeah. But I think they're as they're expanding their set list, it's a lot easier to do a bigger show like that. So
Yeah, I mean, and with the stuff that we're writing now, because we've been writing a lot more. The keyboards and synths are like way bigger part than they were before.
Gotcha.
They've kind of moved away from the metal sound and creating their own sound, which is
We're I'm kind of going
the band.
through, like,
The whole band's cool with that because that's how I've always when I check you guys out. It's a lot. It's heavy. It can get heavy.
it's not. It may not. Our songs may not be as heavy sounding, but like as far like on tape, but live they're gonna sound huge. They're gonna sound big, and it's gonna be loud as fuck.
You know, I mean, just a great group of guys that really mesh well.
Yeah.
You know,
And they're all young.
all of them but Ross.
Yeah, except Ross. Yeah.
Ross, if you're
The
listening,
old man.
you are the old fucker.
He is. Well,
But Ross, if you're listening, we still love you.
yeah. I'm sure he'll be listening to this. What's next? I mean, well, let's talk real quick. School. You're going to school in Chicago.
Yeah.
Doing the
Studying.
music. Yeah. So what's happening there?
So I go to Columbia College Chicago. I had to look at my student ID to make sure I said it right. And I went in there as a music performance major, and I kind of after the first 2 months of first semester, I was like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I called my advisor and I switched majors just a few months into music business. So right now I'm still doing that. I love it. I'm studying music business up there because
Real quick, elaborate music business? Is that like just behind the scenes
so
stuff?
yeah,
Or is it, okay.
that'd be a good way to put it. There's so much that goes on. Like the biggest, one of the biggest focuses, like that we've talked about, is streaming numbers and like how it's had an effect on the music industry between album sales, just digital music altogether. It's kind of killed.
The hard copy.
It's kind of killed the hard copies, but only CDs.
Right.
But
But
vinyl sales keep going up every single year, which is the coolest thing ever because I love vinyl. Yeah. There's a lot. There's the touring industry. There's the law aspect of it too, which like personally I'm very interested in.
Good. Okay.
And studying that in the future.
Gotcha. All right. And now you're on break.
He's also
Now I'm on break.
He's also found a love for music journalism. So,
Yeah, I love doing that because I listen to so much music.
Yeah.
If an artist I like or even just heard about, and maybe not even like, drops an album and I just get curious, I listen to it almost 100% of the time.
Do you ever do any blogging or anything like that?
No, but I'm gonna start soon.
Yeah.
I took this class first semester, and it was called Music and Media, and I kind of learned how to write about music and other types of media there, and at least better than I had before. You got to keep learning.
Right now, the only kind of blogging he's been doing is on comments on Carl's music picks.
It's
of the
funny,
week.
because he does his.
I like that though. I like.
Oh, I love it.
Because I've listened to some of it. And I'm like, it's pretty badass. You
yeah.
don't know. There's just so much out there that
Oh,
you're.
yeah.
But sometimes,
You know, I've been blessed because there's so much music that I'll listen to now that I would have never listened to had he not turned me on to it.
Yeah, and the same actually here. Just getting deeper into the local music scene. There's a lot of different
I've been
types of
listening
music.
to the same old stuff
I
over
know,
and
I
over
would-
again.
I'll tell you, the hip hop scene in Louisville is on the biggest come up right now. Like, but I mean, Jack Harlow for one, like, just absolutely killing it.
You familiar with Dusty Lee?
Oh, of course, yeah. He just signed with.
Yeah, he's actually big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
props to
Dude,
him.
man,
Ran
Dusty's
into him
awesome.
last night, and he was, he's
Talk about your.
Oh yeah, so I'm actually doing something different solo.
I wanted to get into that as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I have I just started working over the summer before school started on some R&B and hip hop music because that's something I love. I love the type of music. I think it presents like a kind of readily available, accessible platform nowadays between a lot of times because of the huge streaming numbers that the genres get. And also it's music I love, and it's music I love to write and I love to sing.
Right.
And so I'm going to have, hopefully, not even coming out soon, just over the next long while, I'll be working on a full length of songs like that with a producer. Sam Beast is his producer name. The third. He's so talented, man. I'm
Super
excited.
talented.
Yeah.
Very cool. Future projects. Oh, you say solo. You know, you're doing the solo thing, but what's the future of Doppelgänger? Gang like?
Well, we're sitting on an EP. We're hoping to come out with that soon.
Okay. As in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna do a local release party for it. Have some bands that we like, that we enjoy listening to, like playing with. Maybe we've played with them before. Hopefully they'll be on the bill with us. And that's pretty much it right now. We're writing a bunch right now. I'm kind of doing some recording as.
How much is your set list that you've been able to incorporate original music?
So it's kind of weird. We never really stick to the same exact set list per se. But just like our repertoire. We've been steadily adding more original music over the past, I want to say year and a half. Because when I first went away to school, I know I started to write more and more effectively. And I don't know, I just kind of happened onto it, and I was like, I really like playing original music, and it's something I want to do. And luckily, like I have the band here is like they're awesome. They'll play anything. They'll write with me. I'll write with them. It's just like it's kind of a big collective of 4 people.
It's been a real great platform for them to introduce anything that they write, because
we play a lot of cover shows. Like,
doing a lot
that's
of
how
cover
it is.
shows, you have a bigger audience than you may for a full set of originals, to get people out there. So
It's who this town is, unfortunately. But
and we've talked about that, and I just think it's great when you have a room full of people that you can introduce something that you just created.
Right, exactly.
And instead of maybe just playing it for the other bands that are playing at the show.
Exactly.
And that gives them an opportunity. And it's really nice when you come back for the next show, and maybe a cover show, but they're like, play that original song that you did.
Or you play one more. You're 2
Right.
original.
Exactly.
You go,
They may play 3 or 4 in a night. They
Right.
may play 5. It's just
Right.
depending on what they're feeling
That
and where
vibe
they're
is, right,
going,
yeah.
and what
Absolutely.
the crowd's all about.
Yeah, and so I like to do this thing when we play originals live. Like there have been sets that were almost all original. Actually, we did that for the first time at the Bourbon Hall a few months back, opening for Kingdom Come, which was a cool show. That was really nice, like to be there for their homecoming show. But we always like we love playing the covers, just maybe not always a cover gig. But having more originals gives us a better opportunity to pick and choose what kind of songs are going to help us get our message across, whatever it may be for the night.
Right.
And I think a lot of it also has to do with, who's in the audience.
Sure.
What's the age group that you're
That's a good
playing
point.
for,
Right.
Same thing about even their cover sets. They may, if they're playing at a bar, it's going to be maybe a lot of Doors, a lot of Floyd, a lot of stuff,
Of course.
what they want to hear. But if they're playing an all ages event where there's college kids their age coming, they're going to play, some pop punk stuff,
Exactly.
and they're going to mix it up a little bit,
There have been gigs where, like, one song we'll play, like, Dead Skin Mask by Slayer, and then a few songs later we'll do The Weight by the band.
And they throw some Stevie Wonder in there.
Oh,
and,
we love
and some
love
Prince,
Stevie.
I mean, they're
I got
thank God their love of music is all over the map,
That's good.
because they appeal to so many different types of people coming out to the show.
Very cool. Very cool.
We've dragged you out to several shows,
Yeah. Not forcefully. I've got to come out, and I enjoy it. I mean, I really do. They're a great band. Before we let you go, a little bit about your work.
My work, I have a family business, retail store called B-mart in town, and it's been going strong 55 plus years. We're kind of a neighborhood store in the hood, anywhere from health and beauty to household products to smoke shop, beer and lottery. I mean, a little bit of whatever the people from the area are coming in looking for, even adult products. Right now, one of our real main focuses is on the CBD industry. Right now, one of the fastest growing industries in the country. You know, with the 2018 Farm Bill ready to be signed, it's passed the House and the Senate. It's going to open up the hemp industry nationwide.
It's great.
We've been, you know, I've been started dabbling in it a little over 2 years ago. Right now, I've jumped in with both feet. I see so many benefits from the product. You know, having lost my mother to cancer, having lost my friends to cancer. You know, Kevin and my mom within a month was a tough blow for us. Which, you know, really made me start looking at the medical benefits of hemp-based products.
And there are medical benefits for those who are anti.
There are 100% medical benefits.
Lot.
Well, I'll tell you, the medical benefits of
Not a gateway and all this bullshit. But
of CBD is huge, but you know, on a medical basis, if you do a lot of research, you'll find that, you know, people are like, I'm not gonna take anything that's weed related. You know, it's like, you gotta really do your homework. It's like, you know, because for in legal states, patients have the opportunity to be able to use the marijuana plant and the hemp plant together, and the hemp plant, which is high in CBD, low in, you know, trace amounts of THC. And that trace amounts, people are like, oh, you know, I don't. Is it gonna do something for me? You know, I was like, no, it's not. It's enough there to get the medical benefits. But you combine that with the marijuana plant, which is high in THC and low in CBD, they become the complete package for a lot of patients that are in need. And every day they're coming out with, you know, new studies that showing CBD helps with this, CBD helps with that, whether it's epilepsy, whether it's cancer, whether it's dementia, forms of Alzheimer's. I mean, the list is getting longer and longer every day. And, you know, it's been a long time since I found something in business that I'm very passionate about. And CBD is something I'm very passionate about, and I think it's here to stay. You know?
I agree.
And you know, there's going to be more and more products. I'm working with a couple companies trying to develop a couple things. I distribute for a number of brands. I think we're stocking between 150 and 200 different types of CBD products. You know, between different strengths, different flavors, different brands, whether it's bath and body products, whether it's the oil tinctures, whether it's balms and lotions. I mean, a little bit of everything. Food products are very huge right now, and we're gonna keep on pushing down that road.
Good deal.
You know, I really enjoy it.
Very cool. Hunter, thanks in advance for this coming Thursday.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think it would be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I love watching
to get
those two play
Manning
together. Yeah.
out. It's going to be badass. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight.
Dude, thanks
Absolutely,
for having
man.
us.
We'll do it
man.
again.
Yeah,
For sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, segment 2 of the night here at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands. It's Tuesday night, December 18th, 2018. It is Shooting from the Lip 366. The lovely Holly Harvest.
Hello.
Holly Harvest.
That's me.
Where did that name come from?
So my husband and I actually ran a farm for 4.5 years.
For real?
Yeah. We started out.
You do not look like a farm girl.
Oh, I'm farm strong.
Are you?
Yeah. Yeah. Around the time we started dating, really, he got some. He started renting a property out in the east of Louisville, and we just started and kept going. And yeah, we had a farm company called Swanberry Farm for 4.5
Really?
years. Yeah.
What was all about? What was the company about?
We raised, we had like a homestead situation and kind of promoted the homestead lifestyle, but then we also had a CSA program where we grew food for around 20 families, where we gave them a box of food every week.
Wow.
And then we had farmers markets and such as well.
That's
so
cool.
yeah, when I was choosing my performance name, I always tell my students, I teach burlesque, so we can talk about that too, but I teach my students that when you pick a last name, you want to like have a surname that presents what you want to be, and I want to be the strong, sexy burlesque performer. So, yeah, I I bring the feast.
And here she is.
Yes,
She's
yes.
bringing it to us tonight.
Yes.
Burlesque. I've had several burlesque people on the show.
You have.
Very
You've been
cool.
doing a very good job. Yes.
And I have this liking to it.
Yes.
Very cool. It's sexy. I mean, these people are talented.
Oh, yeah.
Athletic. Amazing. I mean, men and women
Yeah.
too. And we talked about Lisa Fry and the Vava Vixens. I
Yes.
was just at one of her events. And
Did you catch the last one that they did at Art Sanctuary?
Yeah, it was.
a
I
good
think it
one.
was the first night,
Okay.
and but it was amazing.
Yeah, it was
Just
a good one for
great-
sure.
great
Yeah,
show.
I felt like they were
Yeah.
returning to their roots a little
Yeah.
bit. I was
So it was like
proud.
their 25th.
Yeah,
type-
something
yeah,
like that. No, I think it was
yeah.
like in the 30s. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm
maybe
sorry, Lisa. I don't know.
I think 25. All right.
It was impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. And again, so much talent at the event,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I have this little thing for
Yeah.
the burlesque shows and the burlesque people,
Yeah.
and you're here
Yes, I am.
to do some promoting. But give
Sure.
us a little background on you.
So the Vixens are actually locally who I started with, where I called myself burlesque. Before then, I was a professional fire dancer. Mostly did fire eating, but had different variations of that. So got into the performing world through that, and did a
How long ago was that? Was that-
8 years, 9 years, no, 10 years, 10
Oh,
years,
really?
yeah, about,
Okay.
yeah, 10, 11 years, actually, yeah, when I started the fire. I did that for a couple years before, I started learning a medium called poi, and the Vixens had a performer that was supposed to be doing a poi number in their second ever show, and she couldn't do it any longer, so my name got tossed around, and I joined in for a couple years, but yeah,
Is
that's
that
how I
wh-
started. Yeah.
Is that where Holly Harvest was?
No,
Okay.
no. I
Did you have a different name?
I did. I did. I actually went by Gypsy Love for a while, but then decided that I didn't need to be using that word.
Gotcha.
So, and honestly, just
The word gypsy.
The word gypsy. Yes. I mean, I actually do have some in my blood, but I'm not trying to anyway.
Do you really?
Yeah. Well, my DNA test told me I did anyway.
Did you two do one of those?
Yeah. Well, my sibling did, so
Okay.
I got it for free.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was just what I felt was my spirit at the time.
okay.
But then, became a farmer and got real and evolved into Holly Harvest when I started doing my own producing. So yeah.
And your own producing at that point, was it involving the Vixens or?
And
before?
I didn't produce with the Vixens.
Okay,
No,
gotcha.
I was one of the aerialists and kind of variety performers in there. But through the fire, I actually found a community of what is called the Flow community, and through that, I started an event called Flow Camp that ran for 7 years. It was
Define that.
Flow?
Yeah.
So flow by definition is basically the physical surrender to the point where your mind and your body completely sync up. Okay, so like when you're in the flow is kind of the same thing as like being
Right.
on autopilot, or when you're cooking or dancing or anything like that. Like the like psychological term flow
Right.
is that state.
Gotcha.
Flow arts is
Okay.
kind of what was there was like this resurgence of adults that were picking up objects and like playing with them, and so like it was kind of object manipulation for a while with the poi, hoop, staff, all that, and they kind of just became a community name of flow, because you're doing a lot of discipline, learning these tricks, and then working your way up to just like not even thinking about the tricks and doing them and doing this amazing performance without thinking about it. So being in the state of flow is that. So Flow Camp, I started, and it was a weekend adult playground retreat, and it was like a circus art workshop retreat. So I would have around 100 classes in one weekend, and people would come in and learn, and
Wait a minute,
we'd
you
play.
had how many classes?
Around 100 workshops.
Oh, okay.
In one weekend, yeah.
In one weekend?
Yeah.
How do you pull that off? Is there enough hours to do this?
Yeah, well, we did like 7 or so at once. I think the most we did at once was like 9.
Okay.
But yeah,
Oh, wow.
it was a big animal for sure. Yeah. Flow art community is an amazing community. I grew into really love burlesque and decided to let that baby go and move on. So yeah, I was producing that. And around the time I went full into the farm didn't work out, long story short. And then I jumped back into burlesque, and that's when I became Holly Harvest and started Bourbontown Burlesque with my husband.
Elaborate on the Bourbontown Burlesque. What's that all mean?
So we started, the first show was April 2017, I believe. Yes. And it was basically like my grown-up as a performer project. I started with Flo, went with the Vixens. I started hanging out with a performer that was formerly known as Siobhan Atomica. She's currently Abigail Reese.
Abigail Reese.
Yeah,
she's
gonna
been
be
on.
she's gonna be in my show. She's been in the show?
Well, she's not.
Okay.
Well, before in March, I started this platform.
Okay.
So before it was a call-in, and she's been on a couple times, and she's performed here. It was her famous. She puts the ass in bluegrass.
She puts the ass in bluegrass. She's 5 feet of kapow.
She's amazing.
She is amazing. Yeah, I'm so excited to have her.
So she's going to be part of. Oh, go ahead.
She's going to be in the current lineup. Yes.
Yeah.
But I met her because she came to Flow Camp. And then her and another performer. Her name's Erica Solitaire. She's out in LA doing amazing things right now. But the three of us. Well, I started performing with what Siobhan was producing. So through that and traveling with her and meeting people through her and my fire stuff as well, I kind of just collected all these performers along the way.
Right.
And when I started producing burlesque shows, along with still doing Flow, I realized, hey, wait, I should put these together. So that's kind of what my Bourbontown shows have been. It's been me pulling from the people that are in the Flow community and bringing them onto stage with the burlesque community, which it's kind of redundant to say that because burlesque has pretty much always been variety.
Right.
But there is this huge burlesque community and this huge Flow community, and I know both of them, so they need to be on stage together, and that's what I'm doing.
Very cool. So you just touched on the fact, how much traveling have you been able to do?
Honestly, not a ton. I've been pretty regional with my performing. My fire's taken me a lot further than my burlesque so far. But I did the farm thing for a while and honestly didn't think I was going to come back to performing. But when we moved back to Louisville, I was just like, well, fuck it.
So where were you at before Louisville then? Before moving back?
Pleasureville, Indiana, Kentucky.
Okay,
yeah,
okay, gotcha.
Which was fun to say when I was performing. I was
Pleasure.
Holly Harvest from Pleasureville, Kentucky.
Yes.
I honestly should still claim that.
Why not?
Because it's so good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm Louisville proud, I guess.
No, there you go. So this burlesque, you got an event coming up.
I do.
Bring it.
January 12th, Mercury Ballroom. I am bringing 7 featured performers from out of town, and then also...
You do it at Mercury. That's pretty... It's big time here.
I don't want to puke. Yeah, I've actually just recently got past the immediate gagging when I think about it.
I mean, seriously, a burlesque show at Mercury Ballroom, that's... Just saying that's pretty badass right there.
Thanks.
So...
Thanks.
There's got to be a little bit of pressure.
Come to my show, please. I don't get divorced.
Don't get divorced. How long has this show been in the works? I mean, give me the lifeline here with this.
This particular show, about 3 months. I got the date and got locked down majority of my featured performers around then. So far I've been directing, producing, performing, and marketing all my shows because I don't have any money. So things are a little bit slow, so things are kind of ever evolving, but like from 3 months ago, it was definitely happening till about a few weeks ago. Everything was completely set. So yeah, if I produce a show and you see me come out with artwork, things are happening. For sure. It takes me a minute, but I get there. Yeah. So a couple months. I'm bringing a couple people back from the first 2 Bourbontown shows that we did, but I'm also bringing some new faces for the Mercury Ballroom show.
So what is the actual name of this event?
The second annual Bourbontown Burlesque Festival. Yeah, we did the first annual at Tim Faulkner Gallery last year at December.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We're also going to be doing some workshops with these performers. My featured performers are Rose Whip from St. Louis. I believe they are going to be teaching some workshops. Willie LeCue from Chicago, Illinois, which Rose Whip is amazing, and I know they don't need me to tell them that. I love you, Rose, so much. But Willie has been one of my favorite performers to see, and I'm really excited to bring them back to Louisville. Abigail's coming. I've got an amazing aerialist, Alicia Dawn from Nashville. I've also got a burlesque performer, Chandeliers from Nashville, which I've never worked with her before, and I'm thrilled to have her. They'll all be doing workshops as well. I've got my sear wheel performer coming back, Jameson Pellegro. And then I'm bringing a juggler, Kyle Johnson. And when I told my crew, I was like, I just booked this amazing juggler, they were like, okay. But then I showed them a video and they were like, oh shit, So I'm honestly like, you may not be coming to a burlesque show to be excited about a juggler, but it's what. Oh my God, he's amazing. He is so amazing. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody too. Willie, yeah. Sorry, I didn't count while I was going.
Your performers. I'm rattle off.
I knew I was going to forget
You got
something.
Kyle, Alicia, Willie, Rose, Abigail. Is it Shan?
Shan, I said Shan, yeah. Okay.
Jameson. And then some local people.
Yes, I've got some local people. I've got a crew that's been with me for the Bourbontown show so far. That is Ricky J, Joanna Phoenix, and Vivian La Resistance. Yeah, they are going to be bringing a really awesome group number that I'm choreographing.
Lady Phoenix, that's...
Not Lady, did I say Lady Phoenix? Lady Phoenix, Joanna Phoenix is one of my girls. Lady Phoenix is a local performer that I am bringing on, yes.
That's...
Tabitha.
Yeah, she was a song.
Was she?
A couple of weeks ago.
Oh, great. Yeah. Tabitha, I haven't hired
she's
before
the B
either.
Girl.
She's the B girl. Yeah, she's bringing a really awesome number to this.
Imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got to figure
she does a real good
my
job.
schedule out, and I got to get to this thing.
Why haven't you already?
Unfortunately, I'm almost day to day. But now that you're here, well, some of it I wanted to.
The lineup is bonkers, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who I haven't mentioned so far other than Beatrix B. Naughty. She just recently added to the lineup. I'm super excited to have that Scorpion Queen on my lineup. Umi Naughty is going to be bringing the drag. Yeah.
I like how you.
Oh, and the gay lady duo.
What is that?
The gay lady duo.
Fill us in.
They're amazing. They are a married gay lady duo.
Literally.
They'll be coming to bring. They currently work in the Vava Vixens. So if you're familiar with the Vava Vixens, you've definitely seen their work. They're going to be coming as well.
I want you to elaborate on this.
Okay.
Your burlesque is made up of 50% corny comedy.
51%.
51.
Mm-hmm.
Break it down for me. Why? Go ahead.
You can't make bourbon. You can't call it bourbon without 51% corn.
Well, that's I see where you're going. Okay.
Yeah. So we're 51% corny. And we are, for sure. We have a good time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So is there really that much comedy associated?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, like, if we're talking about burlesque in general, comedy is a huge element. Like, a lot of people think of stripping when they think about burlesque. But in the height of burlesque, it was actually ran by comedians, like male comedians. Right, yeah. And the word burlesque actually comes from a Greek word that means to satire. So originally, at least the American version of burlesque, like the word burlesque started in Europe, but burlesque as we know it as a variety show actually started in America in the 1800s. But the height of burlesque was like the 1920s, 1930s, and that was actually led by men comedians. It would be a comedian duo or a group, and with magicians and singers, and then they would hire the strippers to do acts to draw people in, basically. Yeah.
What is, and I probably asked this with other guests, but I guess it just hasn't really clicked in for me. What is either the etiquette or the rule when it comes to nudity?
In Louisville, or at all?
At all.
It depends on where you are.
Okay, so it is.
Yeah.
So and that's law then.
Yeah, it depends. It's it's in your blue laws. A lot of it's basically like you look up. Well, what as me and the Mercury Ballroom lawyers did, we looked up the actual ordinance and would be adhering to what's going on in Louisville. But yeah, it depends on where you go. Like if you here, it's kind of in the middle compared to the Midwest. Like you can go to Lexington and you can do a little bit more than you can here,
I've heard that,
but you can't do as much as you can do in you can't do that much in Nashville. Nashville has pretty strict laws. Okay. St. Louis is pretty lenient from what I've seen, but I don't know specifics on that one. But yeah, it just depends on where you are.
Okay.
And sometimes it depends on the venue as well. So sometimes the venue is only comfortable with so much.
Right.
Sometimes the venue will let you get away with more.
Gotcha. And is there?
Not that I would do that.
Yeah. No, not. She wouldn't.
No.
I'm vouching for her. So the event's coming up, what we say, January 12th. 12th. 8 p.m., Mercury Ballroom. Is your husband's involved with this too? Right?
Yeah, I dragged him along.
What's his role?
He,
Mr. Harv is his role.
He's tomfoolery.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's his name. He, when we started dating, I was fully immersed into the performance group, and he kind of took the role as like manager for me, especially when I was a fire performer. I was running around getting ready for a gig and like getting ready like myself. And then I came out and all my fire gear and fuel and safety gear was all packed and by the door. And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, I didn't teach you how to do this. He was like, this is why I'm your manager. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess you are. So, and then when I was in the Vixens, actually one of the other girls booked him for a number they were in, or that they were choreographing. And so I was like, well, if you're going to, I guess I'm going to. And the last Vixen show that I did, he was on the cast of. And
do you all actually work together?
Oh yeah, yeah. So especially recently, we like again we had the farm, so we broke away from performance for a little bit. But when we came back, like he was definitely about it. He does a really good job. We found out recently that he's a really good host. And this particular show, him and I are going to be hosting together. Okay. So I won't be performing in this lineup just because there's such a big animal. So him and I are going to be hosting together. We did one recently together that went really well. But yeah, so he's done his share of striptease as well. Like he's earned his colors. He's a burlesque performer. Good. For sure.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. With this, this is your second annual. Do you other shows you're doing during the year?
Currently, I am putting all my creative eggs in this basket. So because I'm starting to get relaxed on this one, I'm like, well, what's next? But I'm really putting my all into this one.
Because before this, obviously the first annual was last year.
Yes.
But you did other types of shows.
Yeah, yes. Okay. Especially last year, we did a show called Women Ain't Funny at the Bardstown Theater, and it was I was trying to go back to the roots of burlesque and make it was an all woman and queer lineup between comedians and burlesque performers, and it was all just ridiculous acts with the stand-up comedians. We did out of town gig that we called Strip to My Lou. We did a sold-up show in Indianapolis with a lot of girls that you've met. I feel like, and then we had the debut show as well. I feel like I'm missing one, but yeah, I'm doing more for sure. Yeah. I'm just honestly feeling out Mercury Ballroom right now. They've been really, really good to me, and it just seems surreal right now.
Have they done burlesque shows there? If they have, I haven't. It hasn't.
I know the Suicide Girls have been there, and I know.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was a company that did a Game of Thrones themed burlesque show that I heard was there. But yeah, that's it.
It's a popular thing. I mean,
It's become
come
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot of momentum with the.
There's a huge community.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out how to tap into everybody in Louisville because I get tons of people saying, "Oh, that sounds awesome," or "Look at that," But like actually coming to the show, like there's a huge like burlesque scene that's come up in the past 2 years. Like we just used to just have the Vixens in the past like 2 or 3 years. There's multiple companies now. So yeah, we're nurturing it, keeping it coming.
And everybody's cool with how it's growing as far as different groups.
No. For the most part,
Okay.
for sure. No, well, I've definitely heard some terrible stories about other cities, but since the Vixens have been around for like almost a decade now, like a lot of the people, came from them, and I'm super grateful to the Vixens because I wouldn't have been able to get on stage without them, So for the most part, I think we do a really good job of supporting each other.
Very cool.
Yeah.
After the January 12th show, what's future projects for you?
I'm hoping to do more at the Mercury, honestly. There was a couple people
You want to stay at that level?
They want me to be their home. I want to be bigger than the Mercury Ballroom, for sure.
Well,
You
don't want to...
I want to be the Palace. I want to go to the Palace. Yes, honestly, like if I had a goal, that would probably be it. We'll see. Yeah.
Cool.
But I'm really into what I'm doing right now as far as bringing in like international award-winning performers, like making at least half my cast people that Louisville's not going to see without leaving, and then supporting and what's going on here as well. But it's nothing specific yet, but if you know me personally, I don't really stop. So
good. Very cool.
Yeah.
I have to ask, besides, doing a show like this at Mercury, there's tickets and you're obviously bringing in income to do that. Are you doing anything else to help put...
I don't know your specific question. Sorry.
Money. I mean.
Do I have a day job? Is that what you're asking?
Or
I have a muggle job. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, or projects, anything like that to help fund your work here.
Honestly, no, I believe in it that much.
Okay.
Right now, every project that I've done, because of the way the burlesque scene is right now, like we're just. If you can say we're burly paycheck to burly paycheck, So, honestly, like I felt like it was a good time to make this jump. So, hopefully, I won't need that.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You just made me start to need the gag again, Kevin.
I mean, it sounds like this is a...
It's going well.
Yeah.
It's going well. Yeah. Honestly, for being 3.5 weeks out, like I've already got a decent amount of tickets. All my VIP tables are sold out, and
good. Really?
People are excited about the lineup for sure. And
so there are tickets left, though. Right?
Oh yeah, yes, there are tickets left.
Cool.
We've got a couple different tiers. The balcony has some really comfy seats, and then we've got the
Actually, there's not a bad seat.
There really isn't. Yeah, they do. It's a really great venue.
I'm curious, like with this event, working with the Mercury, did you have to meet with them and show the plan, how the event was?
Well, the director of events at Mercury Ballroom is a good friend of mine. So she, Miss Sydney Anthony, she and I, she's seen my work. She knows that I know what I'm doing, and I've worked a lot with her husband, and we've done a lot of collaborations together. And she's a boss bitch, and I'm a boss bitch, so we're like, let's be boss bitches together and make it happen. Yeah. Yes.
January 12th, 8 o'clock, Mercury Ballroom. It's the second annual Bourbontown Burlesque Festival.
Yep, tickets are on Eventbrite.
You ready for this, huh?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm over ready.
I'm happy. I mean, I'm feeling the excitement.
Yeah,
good,
for sure.
Good for you.
Yeah, the lineup's insane.
We'll talk because I want to do what I can to help, promote this. And
Okay. Yeah, I'll take all I can get.
I'm a fan of the burlesque scene.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot of talent.
Yeah,
a lot of
it really
talent,
is. It really
and it's sexy talent. Too.
It is.
I like that. That's
It is. It's sexy and smart.
smart. Yeah. And just when I say talent, also that physical part too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Some of the stuff you ladies and guys do,
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with me.
Totally.
And like I said, good luck with this, and whatever I can do to help.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, segment 3 tonight. Shooting from the Lip 366 here at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands. Tuesday, December 18th, 2018. My man, Carl Stuck, you're just making your tour rounds.
I'm
man.
making the podcast rounds.
The media rounds promoting this awesome song that you released last Friday, right?
Yes, Friday, 3 days ago.
3 days ago. So,
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 4 days ago.
4 days, yeah. A great song, by
Thank
the way. You're one of my favorite musicians.
Ah,
You are, and you're badass, and you're even a better person too. So, and I always enjoy hanging out with you.
my mom wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah, even like last night, we hung out for a little bit, and it was coming off of Sean Wallace, the Soul Circus party, which was fun.
No, that wasn't me. I wasn't there.
No, you weren't there. We wound up meeting you at Diamond.
Oh, was it his party last night?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and then we came out. It was like, good God. So, anyways, you're making your rounds. If someday never comes.
Yeah.
If I listening to the lyrics and I.
Oh, please, break it down for me.
Yeah,
I want to hear what you think.
No,
it is.
it's obviously about a relationship.
It's not a secret for sure.
Yeah. So
It's pretty lays it out there.
how
pretty
long
much.
how long has this song been in the works? Or let me before. When did this event happen that inspired the song?
Years ago, and in fact, the song is several years old. I just haven't put it on tape yet. So basically, the way that this came about was I was trying to record some other songs of mine, and I can be a bit of a perfectionist, and I don't like a lot of what I do sometimes. So I was getting very frustrated with, my song Melancholy Me. Mm-hmm. I tried to record that 2 or 3 times. Excuse me. And it just wasn't happening for me. And I thought, that song, I sort of knew what I wanted out of that song. And I wrote it a long time ago. And it really sort of was on the back burner. It wasn't my plan to do that one. I'm planning to release a series of singles. And that one I wasn't going to do that one even close to the beginning. I was going to put that one somewhere at 6 or 7. But because I was so frustrated with the other tunes that I've tried to record, and I knew what I wanted out of this song, I knew exactly how I wanted the production to be, and anyway, so I went in the studio. I thought, well, I should just knock this one out and put it out so I have a little confidence going to my next song. Yeah. And so that's what happened. I knew what I wanted, and I stayed pretty true to what my vision was going into the song. I added a few parts that came later, but that was a very verbose answer to your simple question. Yeah, I apologize for that.
You have a very cool way of with your original music. I'm a fan. Well, I'm a huge fan of anybody who can put out some good original stuff, and with Mo, and then
Completely different.
But see, that's to me, that's the genius in you, is that you're. I mean, we're gonna talk.
It's funny. I
about-
was just talking to our mutual friend Ben out there
Yeah.
before I walked in, and he asked me about Melancholy Me.
Mm-hmm. Fucking
He,
amazing.
He said he wanted a copy of Melancholy Me, and I said, well, I told him the story I just told you. I said, well, I've recorded it a couple of times, and it's just not working out yet. There will be one. It's just not happened yet.
So
I
that
said-
one is not officially out.
No.
Oh, okay.
So I told him, I did just release a single, and he said, I know, but it's nothing like Melancholy Me.
It's different.
I know. It's
Isn't it?
completely different than...
Well, how would you define your is there a genre? I mean, what's your go-to?
I don't know.
And you don't.
I
Really,
want people to help me with that because
But do you need that? Is that do musicians need to be regulated to a genre? I mean,
I don't think any of us want to be.
Yeah.
However, when you put music out, when you send it to your distributor and they send it to the Pandoras and the Spotifys of the world, they want a genre. They want not only a genre, but they want like who do you compare yourself to?
Right.
Like listeners of your music also listen to what? And they want band names.
okay. I get it.
And I struggle with that because I don't know. And in fact, I asked, you said something about doing the rounds, and I was on O'Reilly's podcast, and I asked his
That's
audience.
Stephen O'Reilly, not Bill O'Reilly, for the record.
Yeah. Well, does Bill have
Actually,
a podcast?
I actually think
He might. I mean,
now
I know
that
he's
off.
now that he's off
Fox.
TV,
Yeah,
right?
I think he does have, but
Yeah, he probably does. Anyway, I asked his audience to help me out. Like, tell me, who do you think who would you compare me to? Because I don't have a clue.
Well, that's because if you listen to Someday, for short, and then you listen to Melancholy Me, there's just I don't know. There's not, to me, one genre. Is it?
No, those are different for sure. I mean, it's still me singing.
Of course. I mean, these are your baby. You're writing it. This is what. And take me through your writing process. When you put your mind to go for it. I mean, what's your?
It's different every time.
Yeah. Okay.
For the song If Someday Never Comes, that song was born out of just pure emotion. I was going through something with a girl, and that came out. It just sort of flowed out of me. But then for other songs, like I've got a song called Long Gone, and it was written as a part of I haven't done it for quite a while, but I hosted a songwriters group, and we would get together and we'd all decide on a phrase or a word or something to write about. That's how Mo came about.
Right. Yeah.
So this song, Long Gone Now, I also wrote, and it's the line in that song that was part of our songwriters group thing was "Wave Goodbye," and so I just took that phrase and I made a song around it. And Corey Brumback, Corey, also was
He's
part
got
of
a song that
"Waving Goodbye,"
yeah.
and that was his
That was the same?
contribution to that songwriters group.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh wow.
So he wrote that one, and I wrote "Long Gone Now," and then Aaron
Okay.
Crane. Do you know Aaron Crane?
Yeah.
Aaron Crane wrote one, and so we would get together, and I think it'd be really interesting to like put all those together on a podcast.
Yeah.
And you can
Make
play
that
them all
happen.
back
Right,
to back
yeah,
and say,
yeah.
"This is part of
Right.
you know."
Yeah.
So that they all come about in different ways.
Yeah. Well, I'm digressing here a little bit. You talking? I've heard you did a podcast recently with some kind of a national.
Yes, he was
Someone.
yes.
Yeah. Well, you could say it.
It's called Music Business Hacks.
Right.
Is the name of the podcast. Simon Tam is the host,
Mm-hmm.
and he's an interesting character. He's part of a band called The Slants, and it's an all Asian band. And
For real.
when
The Slants.
The Slants is the name of the band, and he tried to trademark the name, and the trademark office denied him. They said it was offensive, and he said, "Wait a second, I'm Asian. We're all Asian." And it's not offensive to us. We want to own, we want to take the offense out of the name by using it. And so he took it all the way to the Supreme Court.
Wow.
And he won his case.
Are you shitting me?
So
Wow.
he got it trademarked. And so now he does a lot of, he goes to colleges and speaks to, people in law school and different law conventions and stuff, and he talks about his case. So he's an interesting dude.
Great podcast, by the way, with you on. And I think there's part of me when I'm doing a podcast. O'Reilly's great, and I love what he does. Stephen O'Reilly is totally music thing. I do my fair share of musicians and stuff, but I've always thought you should do a podcast. You're the fact that you listen to them because you.
I'm a podcast fiend. Yeah.
Why are you not doing your own?
It's funny that you say that because I've actually been toying around with the idea of doing a podcast.
I think you'd be great.
That's based on the writing process, basically.
So make it happen.
I'm considering it.
Whatever.
So you'll have to give me some advice on how to produce a podcast.
Yeah, definitely. So the song comes out last Friday. If Someday Never Comes. How long did it take you to actually get the recording and stuff done? All the logistics there. And who all was involved musically, musician-wise?
So I enlisted a drummer friend of mine named Adam Wells, who I used to play in bands with years ago.
Local?
He's out of Lexington.
Okay, good.
But we played in several bands, many moons ago. And when I was getting ready to record the song, I was trying to think of who do I want to play drums on it. And I just happened to call him up for a different reason. And I said, I've been trying to think of a drummer, and it just occurred to me that it's been a really long time since we played together. Why don't you play on my song? And he's like, I would love to. That would be great fun. Mm-hmm. So he came down, and he came in and he said, you're going to have to cut me some slack because I haven't touched sticks in about 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And he came in and he freaking killed it. Yeah. He came in and knocked it out. I was like, oh, my God.
I like the drum sound on that. Yeah. Where'd you record it at?
I recorded at Phil's place, which is the Louisville Recording Company.
Right. Mm-hmm. And instrument-wise, did you play?
I played everything except for the drums, and there's a B3 organ part that I got Bob Ramsey to play on.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Any looping on this?
There's no looping.
Okay.
No, it's all.
We got to get to that.
All
there's you and Josh Logan.
Yeah.
Are badass when it comes to the whole looping thing.
It's fun. It makes playing live a lot more fun. If you're playing by yourself, it just.
I mean, that adds such a dynamic to an acoustic set.
You know what's interesting? The first time I saw a guy looping, I thought, "Oh, you cheater! That sucks. I hate that." Mm-hmm. And then when I started playing so often, I thought, man, it'd be so nice to have like a backing track while I play a solo or something.
Right. It's I mean that's what it is. I've always known of that, but I really didn't pick up on that until I was watching a concert with Ed
Sheeran.
Yeah. And he's heavily into that too. And then
you know what's so funny? The first time I ever heard that guy's name, I was playing a gig and I started looping. And this girl at the gig comes up and says, "Do you know who Ed Sheeran is? He does that a lot. You should start playing some Ed Sheeran songs." And it was before he hit. He wasn't a big star then.
Gotcha.
And I didn't go find him. I didn't listen to him. And then a couple of years later, I was like, "No,
then you couldn't help.
Oh, that's that guy." Yeah.
So, and you do it. You do them very cool. I like how you do it.
It's fun. It's so fun.
No, but how? Give me the steps. I mean, it's not that easy. I mean,
it's not super hard once you get the hang of it. There's a little bit of a learning curve. You got to learn. I know for the first, I don't know how long, but when I first started using one, I know I would step on the record button, and I'd go, "What the hell? This thing is not recording when I step on it." You got to sort of learn like exactly how to hit it.
Yeah.
That time, because there's just the tiniest bit of a lag before it starts recording, and then if you time it poorly at the end of the loop, it messes up the whole loop, and so then you got to fight the whole song to try and make it sound.
Has there ever been a night where you did it and you just
yeah?
No, you caught it. Did the audience catch it?
So one time when I used to play with Doug Florio for a while, and
R.I.P.
And we were doing I think it was Maggie May, and I would loop with Doug as well. So I would loop, and then we'd both play on top of the loop. And I did Maggie May, and when I did Maggie May, I'd bring a mandolin with me, and I'd pull out the mandolin, and I'd play the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I'd play that part on a mandolin, and I like built this whole loop up, and I had a bass part and a mandolin part, and then Doug's over there doing his thing, and then all of a sudden it just quit. It just quit working completely.
Really?
It just, the whole thing dropped out, and of course we finished the song anyway.
Right.
There was two of us, so.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit embarrassing, but shit happens.
Shit happens. This is at the point of the show where I would like to, pay homage to this new single.
Play this song.
Play it. Yeah.
Let them hear it.
Someday you'll forget her. You'll find someone better. There's somebody out there looking for you somewhere. So I'm hearing, but I'm fearing they might all be wrong. Yeah. Someday never comes. What they tell me, will I still be gone? Will they find me somewhere hiding from all these memories haunting me? Yeah. Might be hard to see now, but you'll get through this somehow. So they're saying, and I'm praying they might not be wrong. Yeah. Someday never comes. What they tell me, will I still be numb? Will they find me somewhere hiding from all these memories haunting me? Yeah, they don't know anything about this. How can they say I'll make it through? If someday never comes, what then tell me, will I still be known? Will they find me somewhere hiding from all these memories haunting me? If someday never comes, what then tell me, will I still be known? Will they find me somewhere hiding from all these memories haunting me? If someday never comes.
If you like it, find it and follow it or buy it.
It's everywhere. It's on all of the.
It's on pretty much everything except Pandora, because Pandora just takes so long.
Yeah.
So it'll be on Pandora eventually, but it's not at this point.
I want to know what is the general process to get a song out to the digital world? I mean, is there?
Are you talking about like after the recording process?
Well, if you finish recording and now you want to.
So we're done. I'm
Yeah.
done recording. I get it mastered. Basically, most people, I think, just most independents use a distributor, and there are a few. CD Baby is the name of the one that I use. There's also one called DistroKid. There's one called TuneCore. You just pick your distributor. Excuse me. you basically just upload your files, and then you fill out some metadata stuff, and that's pretty much it.
What's the timing on it? I mean, like, who came up with the December 14th day? Is that because it was just going to take?
So originally, my release date was in November.
Okay.
I didn't want to fight with a Christmas thing. So my original date was in November. But because of the way things went down, I just had to push it back. I didn't have all my ducks in a row.
Okay.
So I pushed it back to mid-December.
Well, ducks as far as working with the distributor, or
because I wanted to do a little promo push and try and get pre-saves and all that. And if you do that, you gotta have a little bit of a buffer window for time-wise. And by the time I had uploaded all my stuff to my distributor, I didn't have enough of a window, so I just pushed it back.
Gotcha.
About a month. So you just basically the distributor handles most of the heavy lifting. They're the ones that send it to Deezer and Spotify and Pandora and Apple Music and iTunes and all that. And you just pay them basically.
Yeah. Does at that point, do they get any of the percentage, something from sales as well?
It depends on how you do it.
Okay.
So like there are different levels. Like you can do it relatively cheap. You can put out a CD for $10 if you don't want them to collect. Like there are different kinds of royalties and different,
Gotcha.
Because streaming pays differently than, like, Pandora Radio pays differently than Spotify, because Spotify is on-demand music and Pandora Radio is, you don't get to pick your song. Now Pandora does have another level, which is where it is on-demand streaming. So there's all these different pay scales and
well, technically, because like with Apple Music, iTunes, if you go to
those are two different things.
Well, that's what I'm going to get at.
Okay.
Those are two different, because Apple Music, I pay a monthly thing, so I have access.
It's basically just like Spotify.
Yeah. But iTunes,
iTunes is the old school.
It's the
download,
pay per song.
Pay $1 and download the song.
So, and
you can do the same thing on, like, I'm on Amazon Music.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing. You can download the song on Amazon. You can actually download it from the CD Baby site, my distributor. But then, nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do, but most people in this world are streaming.
Did
You've
you
got
do
Apple
any hard
Music, I've
copy
got
of this?
Spotify. And
Did you put any CDs?
I
or
don't.
anything? Okay.
Eventually, once I get, so my plan is, because it's a different world now, the streaming world, I'm doing a series of singles. So I'll probably do half a dozen singles, and then once I get those out, I'll put them all out together as an album, and I'll probably put out, like, my last 4 at the same time with the album and have an album release and all that. That's my current plan.
So you got how many?
Subject to change.
Yeah. So this December 14th was the single for "If Someday Never Comes." So do you have already songs on that's ready to be released?
No.
Okay. But
No,
you're working on.
I'm working on it. So I've also got this other project with Phil Bright.
That's true. Yeah.
It's called Splintered Mind, or Splintered Mind, depending on how you want to say it. But it's like a harder rock project.
Yeah.
And I actually was just getting on his ass today about, we need to get our mix sent into our distributor.
So you have something.
We got 3 or 4 songs in the can for that. So that's probably the next thing I put out is going to be one of those.
Gotcha.
And then I've got 2 more songs that I'm getting my buddy Adam, and I've got another friend that I used to play in a band with. I'm trying to talk into playing on a couple of tunes with me. So that's in the pipeline.
But that's a collaboration with someone else. So Phil.
The Splinter Mind is.
Yeah. And other than that, with Phil and are you working with anybody else on original stuff?
I mean, I write with other people occasionally.
Yeah. But to put it out,
not as a project to put something out.
Gotcha.
No.
All right.
But I'm open to that.
You are open to that, and you'd be good at it. Do you enjoy the writing process? Because
sometimes it's like pulling teeth, honestly.
what seems to what's your influences, inspiration?
Oh gosh.
Well, this one clearly we knew you can from the song you know what that was about. But what do you gravitate to when you start writing some music?
What do you mean, like subject wise?
Yeah. Is it
Well, like
always a real life experience, or is it?
No.
Okay.
A lot of times it's just made up. And most of the time, even if it is based on a real life experience, you take liberties and it's not completely true.
Right.
Occasionally it is. This one is.
Mm-hmm.
This one is definitely based on something I was going through.
Word
at the
for
time.
word. Huh?
And so yeah. That one is, but they're not all. I mean, An Elf Named Mo, for example,
Well,
is completely made out of whole cloth.
Of course, and that's in the spirit of the holiday season. Now, you did the art contest again.
Still going on.
Still going.
Yes. And frankly, I upped the amount so last year I paid $50 to the winner and $50 to the winner's teacher. It's open to kids.
Right. Yeah.
And this year,
what was the final results for that? I mean.
The winner was I think she was 11, a little 11-year-old girl named Amira.
She local, or was it because you opened it up? I mean, you.
Yes, from Southern Indiana.
Okay.
But yeah, I've had entries from like New York and Washington State and a bunch of different places.
Yeah.
This year I haven't gotten nearly as many entries as I got last year, which is kind of funny because I've had way more people send me things like interested in it, but I'm just not getting as many like follow throughs. But it's still going on $100 to the winning artwork.
And includes the teacher or whatever.
It doesn't include the teacher this year. It's just $100 straight to the artist this year.
Gotcha. I've got an event coming up this Thursday that
I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah. If you listen to one of the participants or one of the musicians performing, supposedly I really twisted his arm big time to get him to do this. Obviously a mutual friend, Kevin Manning, who I
What's
think,
her name? Oh,
yeah, that I think is too damn talented to not be performing. So to get him out, to me he's one of my favorite people in town. Just
he's great.
Musician. And
I've played with him in more than one band.
More than one. And he's playing with Hunter Borowick. But you're gonna drop by.
Swing by.
Yeah, and
swing by.
Play a song or two or a few or whatever.
You might twist my arm and get me up there.
Several. Okay.
Twist my liver.
Yeah, that can be arranged too. Good God. Projects wise, you talked about releasing some singles.
Still working on that.
Yeah. No dates. In your mind, is there any goal or no?
No.
Okay.
No. Ben's back there yelling, "Melly golly me."
It is a great song.
Thank you. That one seems to be the favorite of my songs amongst my peers and people who.
It goes over very well whenever I hear you play it.
And that was an old song.
Is it? How old is it?
Oh gosh, almost 20 years.
Are you sure? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I wrote that one a long, long time ago.
How long have you been writing stuff?
My first song I wrote when I was 7 or 8 years old, I think.
No shit.
It's called Little Red Rocket.
Little Red Rocket. Can you?
I know where your mind is going. It wasn't about a dog.
But what was it about? Or Little Red Rocket, right?
I don't remember. Little Red Rocket.
So you were like
to the moon.
Were you big into NASA then, as a 7-year-old or something?
I can't comment on the inspiration for that particular tune because it's been too long.
Gotcha.
But that's my first song.
But not your last.
Not my last.
Where do you see yourself at, right? A few years. I mean, do you got obviously you want to put an EP out. What is Carl Stuck? Is there an end game? I mean, is there stuff that you?
You know what? At this age, for me, because we just lost Kevin McCreary a couple of years ago, I just literally found out this week that I've got another buddy that just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So right now I'm sort of wanting to just live, every day. Like it's, I want to enjoy the moments.
Right.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, I'm making plans. I'm making plans to release singles and do all this stuff, but I want to enjoy the process instead of having a goal that I'm.
No. No, what? Mine. Yeah. Train of thought. Where am I at? Those are my keys. Yeah. Okay.
So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just trying to enjoy the process of. I want to live every day and enjoy moments in every day.
Coke. Yeah.
Vanilla Coke. Yeah.
I'm a Coke. Regular. Yeah. I'm gonna leave this shit in.
Edit. Edit.
Yeah. I think you need to think about doing a podcast. I think you'd be great at it.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, you have your voice is first started strong. I think to me it's a podcast voice.
If I work on it.
Yeah. Damn it, that key thing totally
Got your train of thought. I don't even recall what we were talking. Oh, we were talking about living in the moment, and you asked me what my 5-year goal was or something.
No, can we deviate from music for a little bit?
Of course.
You what's been the display going on in Washington D.C. We're 2 years into this.
Oh no, you can't talk politics.
I said,
now, we
can
can
we deviate? You
but-
said, of course. Come on,
Come on now.
no politics. Just give me your assessment real quick.
Yeah, I don't
'Cause
have an assessment. I don't know enough about that stuff to assess.
You had a little run on social media where you.
I took a minute where I was getting frustrated and I
Okay.
vented a little bit online.
Are you not frustrated anymore? Because there's still
It's-
shit out there that frustrates me.
It's in check.
Is it?
It's in check.
Yeah.
I get frustrated. Of course we all.
Well, let me ask this. With his attorney, his general.
I don't have any idea what you're talking about. So I read this article today, and it was about a girl who was in college. She was going to school to learn how to help kids that were going through struggles, and she was driving down the highway on one of her days off, and a 12-year-old kid jumped off a bridge and hit her car and killed her.
Killed the girl driving.
Killed the driver.
Not the kid.
The
though.
kid is alive.
Yes, I saw that. I'm like,
Oh my God! It's such a depressing and ironic story. See how I did that? I just like.
Well, and I'm gonna elaborate on that. Hear me out. Think about it. Do you believe in coincidences?
I do.
I don't. Do you think that's a coincidence that happened? Like, to me, the order of the universe had to click in because think about it, the timing.
It's super ironic and bizarre that this girl was going to school. She was getting her PhD, and I don't remember the exact, the name of her PhD program, but she wanted to help kids,
Right.
Troubled kids, and this kid obviously must have been one, and I guess she saved him. But man, what a sad story.
And in this case, again,
it almost brought me to tears, literally.
Yeah,
when I'm reading that story.
in where I'm getting at is that the whole timing. Could you think about it? It took whatever she was doing before that moment. Could she have did that? Stop light. Did she kind of run through us?
For sure, it was
that's
like
what I'm saying.
a 2-second difference, and
Exactly.
everybody's life would have been different.
Just seconds. The kid would.
Maybe not even 2 seconds.
Yeah,
maybe 1 second.
a split second. The kid, or say the kid.
Well, the guy, her passenger, was her boyfriend, and he lived.
Yeah.
And the way he described it, he said he blinked, and when his eyes opened back up, the roof was gone, and there was a bloody kid where his girlfriend had just been driving. The steering wheel was broken off, and he realized his girlfriend was underneath the kid. They were still, flying
Moving.
down the highway.
Right, yeah.
So he tried to grab her leg to put it on the brake, It's
Oh,
a
it's
horrible,
brutal.
bizarre
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
So, I struggle with life events like that because, you know, obviously in this case, the victim had good intentions, was a good person based on what she was, doing in life,
And also just one more example of carpe diem, live your day because you never know. Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
yeah, just to point, a split second, and the kids maybe falls into the front of the car, or misses
the trunk,
car,
or misses the car completely. Or, yeah.
There's,
See how I got out of that politics conversation?
Fair enough. Politics. I try to stop talking about it or thinking about it because politics right now is a very divisive thing.
I still follow it. I still follow politics. Every morning I listen to
I would say follow it, yes, but talk about it. I try to refrain because there's no gray area. You're either 100% supporting the president, or you're ragging him every day, and you're just noticing all this shit that's happening or not happening, and it's. You see it on social media. People are literally picking fights. It's brutal right now.
It is brutal.
But I do think that this administration enables a lot of that too.
See here now, I got to come up with another story.
Well, here's one. I came up with. Someone asked me the other day, like in life, what are some questions that I've asked myself that I need answers to before I leave this world? One, I need to know for sure, is there a God?
You need to know that for sure before you leave this world?
I would want to. Yeah.
You would want to.
I would want to know that. I would want to know because
I think we would all like to know.
Well, okay. Two, what happens after we die? I would like to know that. Is it, you buy into the notion that you've moved on to another
plane,
or you're just in a box and, it's lights out.
Or you're a cricket.
That. And then another one is life. Is there life outside of this world? Is there life in the universe? So I'm asking, this is what I'm asking you. Give me a few questions that you have yet to get answered, yet to be answered for you, that is possibly noodling in your head that,
Oh, God. Yeah, you should have submitted these to me before.
Well, that's part of the shoot thing. It's I don't like to. I want spur of the moment, man.
I'm not quick and witty enough to come up with good questions.
Or a question. Is there something out there that,
there's lots of stuff. I have a philosophy degree, so there's lots of questions that I want answered. But all the ones you said, of course we all want to know. Yeah. Why are we here? And what is the meaning of all this? Is there a meaning to all this?
We can agree the Earth is not flat.
That's my position.
Yeah, and it's been around more than 10,000 years.
That's also my position.
Okay, just getting on the same page.
Yeah. But I'm open. Somebody could prove me wrong.
If you had one wish, a genie was able to grant you, appears, and you had one wish, what would that wish be?
My one wish would be for everybody to be happy. Everybody.
A few years ago, that would have been kind of a blah answer. But right now,
It's still blah, but it's
no. But actually, it kind of means a little more, I think, in this day and age, because there's
a lot of people struggling. There are people that are sad. I think we all go through times where we're melancholy.
Slip that in. This is where I need you to give me send me a MP3 of just a sample that I'm going to play right there.
It's on the docket. I'm working on that too.
What was the first concert you attended?
My very first concert, Sean Cassidy.
For real?
Swear to God, my mom, my little sister really liked.
No, Sean's he wasn't the one in the Partridge Family, right?
No, he's the little brother.
Yeah, okay, got it. That's right.
He had a big hit with a remake of "To Do Run Run,"
The Do Run. Run.
and my sister loved him, and so my parents
That's
took
never made your playlist, has it?
"To Do Run Run."
Yeah.
No, you know what? I actually recorded a little version of it when I was about 15 or something on
kidding me?
a little 4-track.
Is there anywhere? Is that out
You'll
there?
never hear that.
Never.
Never hear that. So Sean Cassidy was my first concert. My parents made me go. I didn't want to go, but he was playing at the fair and at the old Cardinal Stadium.
Did he make an impression on you? Then?
You know what I remember the most from that concert? I remember two things from that concert. One is they drove him out on a golf cart, and I thought that was kind of neat. You know, as a,
Because it was out.
because I don't know how old I was, 7
Cardinal
or
Stadium,
8
so
or
it was
something.
in the field. So
Yeah.
Right.
And he was like facing the
End zone
third
type
base
of-
side
yeah,
of
right.
the stadium. And then the other thing that I remember the most from that concert was there was this lady sitting behind me, kind of a heavy lady that screamed nonstop, and her scream was just like, "Oh!" And then she'd stop for a couple of seconds, and then she'd do it again. "Oh!" And I was like, "What the heck is wrong with this lady behind me?" So
Cool.
that's what I remember from my first concert. But the first concert I wanted to go to that I went to was Foreigner.
Luke Graham. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
It was Foreigner, and I believe Billy Squire opened for him.
Really? My first concert, Billy Squire headline
Oh, is that right?
in '83, Rupp Arena. But I actually at that time I was a Billy Squire fan, so I enjoyed his music. But I actually really was excited about the opening act,
Which was?
Def Leppard.
Oh, is that right?
Right after Pyromania was released. So
See, I saw them when they were headlining. So it was Def Leppard, and who else was on the bill?
like here in Louisville. Or,
Crocus, I think, was on the bill.
I know one. I've seen them several times. I know Tesla has opened up for them. But yeah, Def Leppard.
Yeah.
If you were to be stuck in an elevator with a celebrity, who would that be?
I have been stuck in an elevator. Well, not stuck. I think I told you this story yesterday, as a matter of fact. David Cassidy. Believe it or not.
The other cast?
The other brother, yes. So I went to Las Vegas. So I thought I told this story to you.
Last night?
I think. Maybe I'm
How
wrong.
in the hell would that have come up last night?
I don't remember. Maybe it wasn't you. Anyway, so I was in Las Vegas with my then girlfriend. We were staying at the MGM Grand, and we were in the room, and it was late at night. It was like 6 or 7 at night, and the maids came by, and we hadn't had our room made up that day, so they knocked on the door, and I said, "Oh yeah, go ahead, come on in and clean the room." And they said, "Well, we can't clean it while you're in here." So I just called to my girlfriend. I said, let's just, go get on the elevator and ride all the way up to as high as we are able to go and just look at the view and see what it looks like. So we did that, and we're hanging out looking out the window for 15 minutes or whatever, and then figure they're probably done. So we get back on the elevator. Instead of going down, it goes up to the penthouse. And this guy steps onto the elevator, and I think, man, I recognize this guy, but I don't know who he is. So we ride down most of the way in
How long
silence.
ago was this?
Oh gosh, several years ago.
Okay.
So we're riding, we're going downwards, and he starts laughing, and he says, "I just have to ask, why are you barefoot?" We were both not wearing shoes because the maids had just knocked on the door, and we didn't put on shoes. And,
So he initiated conversation with you.
yeah, he did. He started giggling, and he said, "Well, why, I have to ask why you're barefoot." And I said, "Well, we're from Kentucky."
Did you really say that?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, God.
Anyway, he got off the elevator, and my girlfriend was like, "Oh my God, that was David Cassidy," or I think she called him Keith Partridge. That was Keith Partridge. I said, "Is that who that was?" She said,
You
didn't
recognized, but you didn't know.
know?" I knew
Yeah,
he looked
yeah.
familiar to me, but I didn't. I never watched the Partridge Family. But yeah, so that's my elevator story.
During a gig, tell me a pet peeve.
It seems like we've done this before.
Somebody screaming for you to play that Melancholy song.
I don't like when people try to have a conversation with me as I'm singing, which happens more often than you would think it would happen because you can see that I'm singing. You can hear words coming out of my mouth, and it's difficult to sing, and also engage in conversation.
While you're talking right now?
So that's one of them. You know,
One.
I don't like when I also don't like when people jump up on the stage and just start singing along in the microphone, which happens occasionally. Now, if I motion you to get up, please by all means, but
Absolutely.
but don't invite yourself onto the stage and start accompanying the artist. That's faux pas.
Is it better to beg forgiveness or ask permission?
Yes.
Gotcha. Yes. What's a superpower you wish you had or would have?
Superpower that I wish I had. I think Ben is suggesting that I say being bald.
No.
Superpower. Gosh, I don't know. It'd be nice to. I don't know. I was going to say predict the future, but then on second thought, that would sort of make life a little bit boring. I don't know.
Is it? Have you,
Flying would be cool.
What's your take on you familiar with remote viewing?
Yeah, I know about remote viewing.
Do you buy into that?
I don't.
Okay. So, I guess wouldn't that be kind of a superpower if that people really could do that?
That could be very cool, and it could also be very frustrating. And you know, if you could see something bad going on that you couldn't do anything about, that would be horribly frustrating.
Is there? Tell me about a time, a job or music gig that you regret turning down.
I don't remember turning down any jobs or gigs. I take them all.
Yeah.
I'm always scared that I'll never get another offer. So
I mean, back in several years ago.
it's funny. I've talked to friends about this. Like I don't say no often enough because I'm always scared. Might be the last one. This might be my last chance. You know, this might be my last. You know, I also don't cancel gigs because I'm scared if I cancel it, I might never get it back.
Right. If
I don't turn down many.
No, okay, fair enough.
Here I am.
Here you are. And you could go. You have access to a time machine. You could go anywhere in the past.
We've done this one before.
Well,
my stock answer is I would like to meet Socrates.
All right.
Which my girlfriend rags me hard about, calling me a nerd because I would want to meet Socrates.
But that's the philosopher.
Might have been the smartest man ever to live.
Yeah. The curveball here, because I think I remember asking you this question. Now, same time machine, my budget allows you to go forward.
Only forward.
Well, no, not only. You can go now. You get to go into the future. How far into the future would you want to go, or something you want to see where we're at?
Do I get to come back?
You do get to come back, and you're only there. You're observing. You're not.
If I get to come back, because that affects my answer. Because if I don't get to come back, I don't want to go so far into the future that all my friends are gone, and family. And but, gosh, I don't know. Is there a limit? I would like to go. Well, maybe I would want to be able to understand the language, so you wouldn't want to go too far.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe 1,000 years.
That's big time.
Hopefully, they would still speak a language that you could understand.
How do you think they'd look like? How the people? I mean, we would evolve into something.
They would probably look like Ben.
Yeah.
With less beard hair.
Yeah. I have heard some people in the science community say 1,000 years in the future, people would have bigger brains, bigger eyes. Almost,
I think
it's almost alien the way they described it.
I think 1,000 years in the future, I was going to say we, but I won't be there. But the people will all have enhancements that are man-made. You know, everybody will have computer chips in their ear or something
within their body, right? Yeah. So in that, I guess that's the form of artificial intelligence at that point.
Things to make you see better. I mean, you know, obviously, if they had a computer chip that you could stick in my head somewhere that would make me not need corrective lenses, I'd sign up right now.
Did you? It's funny you said that. I just read an article today too. Some lady, news lady, I want to say maybe Michigan, committed suicide because of LASIK surgery she had. And
Oh, yeah?
and it was
It affected her badly.
the pain.
Really?
It was brutal, and she decided she couldn't marry 2 kids. She was just like a news weather lady
Wow. Yeah, I can't get it. I would get that too if I could, but I can't.
because.
I don't have enough of a cornea, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He told me he would have to cut. He said if I had to cut off half of your eye to make your eyesight right. I've got really, really bad eyesight.
Yeah. So you, I guess, contacts or whatever.
I do.
Okay. What musician out there, anywhere, would you like to hang out with, play the gig for one night?
Alive?
Yeah.
Alive.
And then you can go to the dead one.
There are a few that I would dig playing with. Bob Schneider is one. There's a guy called Foy Vance that I really, really like. Oh God, there's a long list of people I would like to.
Well, I was like, give me a go-to. That one, you got one night. That's who's the go. That was it. You don't have several gigs. It's just one gig. My budget is just allows for.
Oh God.
Just so.
You're see, I'm really indecisive, so I'm the wrong guy to ask these questions. I'll go with Foy. I'll take Foy. He's an amazing singer. Do you know anything about Foy Vance?
No,
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. What's his genre? What's he? Another one of those.
I'm not sure. Singer songwriter, indie kind of.
Okay. You do a cool thing. I want to say it's every Sunday you post this music list for people to, that you're listening to.
You know, it's mostly for me.
Yeah, I know it's most, but I've listened. I went out and listened to some of it, and it's.
So last New Year's, my New Year's resolution was, because I think we all get kind of locked into a box of, in Spotify and Pandora and all these music platforms cater to what you already like. And so it's hard to discover things that you ordinarily wouldn't like, but that maybe you might like. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, gotcha.
So my New Year's resolution was to try and listen to at least 5 artists a week that I'd never heard of. Or if I'd heard of them, I'd never listened to their music.
How are you finding them, though?
Different ways.
Well, that narrows it down.
A lot of different ways. Like there's a podcast I listen to called Song Exploder.
Okay.
Do you know that podcast?
No,
but
that's
other than yours, my favorite podcast.
And O'Reilly.
O'Reilly's is second.
Yeah.
And Song Exploder.
Well, he could be 1 or 2. I'm okay.
You guys are tied for first,
there you
honestly.
go. Okay.
But Song Exploder, it's usually 15 or 20 minutes, and they break down the artist that wrote a song, breaks it down. And so they'll talk about their song. They'll talk about, we did this with the vocals, and then they'll just play just the vocals. Mm-hmm. And then they'll say, and then we added this little piano part that you really can't hear, and they'll play just the piano part.
Right.
Very, very cool podcast. And a lot of those artists I've never heard of. So if they're on there, I'll put them on my list. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I just go exploring. I just go digging for, I'll just put in hip hop and try and find a hip hop artist that I've never heard of, which is pretty easy for me.
What would be a percentage of these artists that you would give that you gave thumbs up to? Because not every one of them you enjoyed or liked.
So,
right?
Well, it depends on what you're asking. If you mean, like, there's certainly a lot of songs on there that I listened to and I enjoyed, but I probably won't listen to again.
Right.
But as far as like things that I've added to my playlist from this, very, very, very small percentage.
Yeah, okay.
1% maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a few bands that I can think of off the top of my head that I added. One is called Flying Colors, which has Steve Morse in the band. Do you know Steve Morse? Mm. He's a guitar god kind of guy. Mm-hmm. So that's one. The drummer for the Chili Peppers has a side project called I think it's called the Bombastic Meat Bats.
That would be such a name.
And it's really fun. It's all instrumental stuff, but it's really funky stuff, and I really dig it. And I'm not a huge Chili Peppers fan. But when I heard that, I was like, man, I really like this. This guy can play drums,
Right,
man.
yeah.
He's really good. So who else? Those two, top of my head, Carnival. They spell it Carnival with a K. I think I added them. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. And those are all fairly heavy, and I've added a couple that are not heavy. I like a lot of different stuff. Now that I've grown up, when I was a kid, I only liked heavy music. And then I grew up and I like, everything from Jason Mraz to Jason Isbell.
Because when I listen to you play, your set list is very.
I definitely mix it up.
Yeah, and which is good.
It's more fun for me.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's to me as a music fan, it is fun to hear just all kinds of.
Well, plus I feel like if I'm playing at a particular venue where the crowd is mostly 24-year-olds or something, I'm going to play.
You have
some different stuff,
right.
and if it's a bunch of gray-haired old men,
your catalog allows you to do. You do. I mean, right now, give me a ballpark number on the amount of songs you could just play.
I have no idea. A couple hundred, probably. I don't know.
Really? Okay.
I have no idea.
It's okay.
But I wing stuff a lot. So if I can, I keep an iPad with me, and if somebody yells out something that I don't know, if I know it well enough to, if I can hum it,
Right.
and I can dig up the words, then I can fake my way through it.
Right.
Typically, I mean, I don't always do such a good job, but it's usually worth $1 to somebody, So
Because they'll tip you. Yeah. I'm curious. You listen to a lot of podcasts, and I do my fair share. And I kind of been going back and forth with, like Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. He's my go-to. But his podcast is he'll do with one guest, and it's from maybe 2 to 3 hours.
yeah,
long.
they're in depth. Mm-hmm.
What's your take on it? Do you prefer a Joe Rogan type conversation podcast, or with what I try to do is I have like tonight I have three segments, and this one we're getting close to about an hour of talking, and we've been able to fill it, and we practically probably could talk longer than that, but I mean
So the way I listen to podcasts, I probably prefer, excuse me, shorter podcasts most of the time, because I'm able to listen. If I take on the trip here, I listen to a podcast, and when I walk the dog, I'll listen to a podcast. So 15 to 30 minutes is perfect for that, because otherwise you got to listen in segments. With that being said, I listen to Sam Harris's podcast, and his are typically 2 hours long. But almost every with the exception of Song Exploder, every podcast I listen to at least 1.5 speed. Sometimes 2 times speed, depending on how fast the host talks.
I've not done that. That's interesting.
I'm a busy man. I got a lot of podcasts to listen to.
Yeah. I've never, I don't think I've ever changed the speed. I have to try that. Interesting.
Sometimes it depends on how fast they speak.
Yeah.
2 times speed can be difficult to understand.
Right.
But somebody like Sam Harris, he speaks kind of slow.
Right.
So
you can get away with it, right?
You can sometimes get away with it, depending on who his guest is.
Right.
So, yeah. But you can squeeze in some extra podcasts that way.
Yeah. So, I have to try that. Rogan, yeah, he's got his on. I mean, because
I like Rogan's podcast, but I don't listen to his very often because it's so long.
It's
and
long, and not every guest. The truth is, not every guest has appealed to me. I mean,
you just got to commit a lot of time to listen to a whole podcast like that. So,
well, what I usually do is if I'm in the mood to listen to Rogan, because he puts they're on YouTube, so I can with my on TV, I'll just put put his play it while I'm in the house doing shit, and it's just playing in the background. So. Interesting. What else? Anything else you want to talk about? Promote?
No, just listen to my song on whatever your platform of choice is.
It is a really good song.
And if you like it, I don't expect everybody to like it, but if you do like it, share it.
Yeah, I've
Tell
done
somebody.
My kiddos, I shared it with them. They all dig it, and Mo, they dig. Yeah.
It's hard, man. It's hard being an indie musician that doesn't have, when I was 20, 25, I had lots of friends that had lots of free time, and so they came out to every gig, and they had a lot. It was easier to get support. Nowadays, everybody's married, has kids, and they've got lives that are more important than going out and seeing their buddy who plays all the time. Right. So it's harder, and especially doing original stuff to get it out there. Yeah. So yeah,
you're playing right now. Obviously, your solo work, Mary.
Are you asking all my acts? Yeah. So yeah, I do solo stuff mostly. Yeah. Mary, full contact karaoke band.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally play with a Brian Fox band.
Mm-hmm.
What else? That's all I'm coming up with off the top of my head. And then of course my original project, Splinter Mind with Phil.
Mm-hmm. When do you plan on with that one? When you plan on debuting, or have y'all played out anywhere? Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm going to throw Phil under the bus right now.
You're waiting on Phil, right?
It depends on when he gets our mix together. So he's actually given me 2 mixes, and the first one I was cool with, but then he wasn't. So he's like, no, let me fix it. I'm going to fix the mix. So he went back, and I had some notes, so I gave him some notes, and so now we're waiting on third version. So he's super, super busy right now for whatever reason. He is slammed right now. His studio's slammed, and then he also does.
It's not a bad thing.
He does live. He does live sound too. And he's
right. I've seen him out doing.
He's busy as a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there you go, Phil.
Come on, Phil.
I say that in jest because I've dragged my feet too. So.
What else? Anything else before we shut it down?
I don't know. I can't think of anything.
You gonna stick around for a little bit?
I'll be here for a little while. I want to hear Kevin play a little bit.
Have y'all ever played together?
I don't believe
See,
so.
well, here's I'm glad I asked that question because when I'm doing the levy a few nights a month now, and my thing is that I want to pair up duos, just people we don't normally see together. And you threw your wish because I want you on one of my bills, and you gave your wish, and I don't know if you want to say it or not, but we're gonna make that one happen because that whole loop thing. Imagine how could two people? Could you do two loops? I mean, how would that even?
Never tried it. I'm sure it can be done.
How creative could that be?
It could be a train wreck.
Yeah,
but it also
could be a cluster. But it could also.
It could be very cool if you could make it work. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm good enough at it to make it work, but.
So yeah, you're one of my favorite people to go and listen to.
Thanks. I appreciate you being there.
Very talented person, and someone I consider a friend as well. So, yeah, I think you need to add podcasting is one of your hobby. I think you can pull it off, man. Yeah, I mean it's kind of what's happening. I mean,
I might put my toe in the water.
Try it.
We'll see.
Anything I can.
If nothing, just like that guy we talked about earlier that I did his podcast, Simon Tam. His podcast it's a daily podcast. He does it almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fairly short podcasts. They're usually between 10 and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But occasionally he'll do an interview, and those are longer. But man, I just think of the amount of work that must go into doing a podcast a day. Meanwhile, he's given talks to, he's traveling and doing this thing. Then he's also got his band, and they play at conventions.
Right.
And, I mean, that guy's a busy man.
Yeah. I mean, it makes, like tonight, who'd I have? You know,
My busy is like what he does before breakfast.
You know, one of the second segment tonight was someone who's does burlesque.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So my thing is that I'm having all kinds of people. You know,
Where do they do that? Where do they do burlesque?
oh shit. There's the show she's doing is going to be at the Mercury Ballroom.
Yeah.
In January. It's going to be a huge event. Have you gone to burlesque shows?
Never have.
You got to add that as something. To
Yeah?
do. Yeah. I mean, it is. You'd be blown away on the talent, the athleticism, men and women, and it's.
Do they still do like?
It's a little sexy show too, man. One of the last ones I went to, Stephen Clark, the Ass Hollers. They were the support band. They were playing their music while
the burlesque dancers were doing their
which
thing?
for you know ass holler music, and that's heavy, and it's a shake your ass kind of, and then to see them perform.
You know, that's somebody that I need to add to my playlist. So I have a Spotify playlist out there for anybody listening. It's called Local Louisville, and I've got a ton of local Louisville-based acts, either people that live here or are from here, or somehow they're connected to this town. And when you listen to it, it's amazing how many, you don't realize how many really good artists there are, and there are a bunch.
You mean locally?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I said this earlier. I think I said this with Rick and Hunter, is that I consider myself a music fan, and I like to consider myself very open to most genres out there. But I have enough. There's enough good music in town that I'd be fine to not have to go and find other shit outside of the area, because there's all kinds. I mean,
There's a lot of
really
really.
good.
We actually have a really good music scene.
Dude.
It's not quite as robust as it once was. I think a lot of the music fans that used to come out are at that age where they're less likely to come out, and a lot of the younger folks are digging the DJ stuff. But man, we got a lot of talent in this town.
I agree. And yeah, there's there's music going on every night of the week, and there's probably 4 of those nights I can find myself going to, because there'll be someone playing that I'm really into. And
Well, that's how I bumped into you last night, because I just
you played last night?
No, I didn't play last night. I was at home. It was my night off, and I was going to sit
you
at
just
home,
sit.
and I just happened to see that a buddy of mine was playing, and I had to go see him.
No, Matt? Or, no, who?
No. This was Bradley Griggs.
Oh, yeah. Was he duet with Alex? Okay.
Yeah.
Where were they at? First?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So I saw they were playing for another hour, and I thought, I got to get out there.
Get out, yeah.
And then I thought, while I was in the neighborhood, I'll just cross the street and go watch that too.
Here we are.
So I saw Matt was playing over there. Right?
So, yeah, again, lots of talent. I love the music scene here. I mean, you really, and tonight, I think Kev's one of the great frontmen in town.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, very.
He's not only super musically talented, but he's very entertaining. Even outside of when he's playing music, he's fun.
You ask him, he's the funniest guy in this building right now. Funniest.
There they go.
Yeah.
I'm the funniest looking.
Funniest of all, really. My youngest saw that you were on my show, so she said, again, props to the hair. She'll be there Thursday, which I didn't realize until recently, the levy, you can be under 21 up until 9 o'clock.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Which I didn't know that. I had done an event there where Allison Bray.
I know the name.
She was on The Voice. But she played with John Hager that night. Or no, was it John Hager? Anyways, no, Pat Quinney. But anyways, she brought her kids her children, and all these kids were there, and I was thinking, how the hell are they pulling
How are they
off?
getting away with this?
And then I went over to ask Angie at the bar, and I'm like, is this okay? And they're like, yeah, you can up until 9ish. Then they start enforcing that. So, which Thursday with Kevin Manning, his Walden connection. You know, he coaches at Walden.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, are all those kids going to be out there too?
I think, from what I heard, there's going to be some of the Walden, Walden kids.
The student body.
Yeah, so, which is a good thing because obviously an audience of
awesome.
those numbers will make a
That's fun.
good impression with the, as we are calling it. You know, the levee Thursday night is it will not be the levee. It will be known Thursday night as the Kevy. Myself, Cummings, and Manning. So,
The Kevy.
The Kevy.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if there's any way I can get up there and put a K over that L. Probably not, but anyway. Carl, thanks for hanging out with me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Trying to think how much of this do I go back and edit out?
Yeah, take out like 45% of it
Think so? No. Actually, it's a very pain in the ass
to edit.
To edit the
Because
video.
you got to do video
Yeah.
and the audio.
Yeah, because what I do is I get my video edited right, and then I take the audio from the video and then upload it to the as a true podcast as iTunes and iHeart and all that shit. So with the video, it's segmented. I use it's called Movie Maker, Windows Movie Maker. So I put it on, and then I have to, in this case, because I know there's a couple of things I want to edit out, and I actually have to edit in, like your song, and this last part gets chopped off. But yeah, it's a very pain in the ass.
Yeah, I bet it
like
is.
tonight, this will be a very painful one. Usually, I try not to.
Try not to edit.
Unless someone says, oh, "Please take that out." But
That's why what I was saying about that Simon Tam guy. I'm like, golly. I sent him, when I did that podcast, it was a phone interview. And I recorded my end on I have a Zoom, and I recorded it, and I said, he didn't ask me to, I just did it. And then when we got done, I told him, I've recorded this side of the conversation. If for whatever reason, if you don't, want to use the phone feed, because sometimes those don't sound very good. I said, I'll just send you a WAV file of my side of the conversation. You can just throw it in there if you want to. He said, oh, that would be great help. And I sent it to him. I don't think he used it. I think he just used the phone feed. It must have been fine.
well, here's what I struggle with is that's one reason why I got away from Blog Talk, because that phone sound, the quality.
Sometimes it's bad.
Ugh. But see, are you familiar with Zoom? ZOOM. It's a app. Actually, it's a desktop app as well. It's kind of like a meeting app where.
I think that might be what he used, what
Well-
that Simon Tam used. Is it like I call up a number? Because here's how I did it with him. He gave me a number. I call up the number, and it says, it answers. It's this mechanized voice that says, your meeting starts in 10 minutes.
Okay,
or
maybe
whatever.
it's that, but you can.
And it records both
It
sides
does-
of the conversation.
It does record both, but it's also a video.
Oh, no, this one was not a video.
Well, the Zoom allows you, because I tried it for the first time, the video part Sunday night when I did a sports show, and people are using the app. You can use it on your phone, and actually you don't even have to call in. The app allows you by clicking the link, and you're connected. So it's a video. It could be video and or audio only. I could turn the video off and just record an audio. But Sunday I did with the video, and it's pretty good. I learned some things I should and shouldn't do from it, but I'm going to start incorporating Zoom with this, because I think part of my shtick is that visual that I want to keep on. I like the face-to-face, and plus the sound quality is pretty good too. So.
No, it's way better. Doing that, like when I did your phone podcast, this is so much.
And the delay, you're
Yeah.
talking over.
Yep.
And, oh my God. So, yeah. All right.
This one feels way better.